Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Planning Advisory Board meeting of January 15th, 2026. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Board Member Scott Byrne.
Please face the flag and join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, good evening. Secretary Byrne, please call the roll.
Chairman Stanko,
Here?
Member Di Leonardo,
Here.
Member Chabina,
Here.
Member Warner,
Here.
Member Castellane,
Here.
Member Byrne is here. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay. The format for the meeting this evening includes a presentation from the applicant, questions and comments the board may have, followed by any interested parties who may wish to address the board regarding the application. And we ask that anyone who would like to speak to please come forward, speak from the podium by first stating their name and address for the record. We have one agenda item this evening. 85 Bloomingdale Road in Hicksville. The applicant is seeking a site plan approval from the Planning Advisory Board in accordance with the town's site design standards. This site plan application involves the construction of a 20,518 square foot bus storage facility with accessory repair bays and an office in an existing building with associate site improvements. The proposed use for the subject property is a permitted use pursuant to Chapter 246, Table 5.2 of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay. Secretary Byrne, do we have any correspondence on this application?
Yes, Chairman. We have a memo from the Zoning Division dated April 9th, 2025, stating that the subject property located at 85 Bloomingdale Road, Hicksville, New York, 11801, has a Nassau County Land and Tax Map designation of 46, Section 46, Block 629, lots 18, 20, and 62, and is located within the LI Light Industry Zoning District on the town zoning maps. We have a memo from the Department of Environmental Resources dated November 25th, 2025, classifying this project as Type 2 for the purposes of seeker. We have a memo from the Code Enforcement Bureau dated April 9th, 2025, stating that there are open code cases for permit violations and commercial parking on the subject property. Chairman, since this memo is several months old, the Planning Division contacted the Code Enforcement Bureau this week, and there are currently no open code cases on the property. We have memos from the town's Department of Public Works Highway Division dated April 15th, 2025, and the Engineering Division dated December 4th, 2025, stating that they have reviewed the site plans and have no objections. We have a memo from the Nassau County Planning Commission dated December 23rd, 2025, recommending local determination for this project. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated January 14th, 2026, stating that the required parking for the subject property is 171 parking spaces, and 171 parking spaces have been provided. We have a memo from the Planning Division dated January 14th, stating that the division has conducted a review in accordance with Chapter 246, Section 6, Site Plan Review of the Code of the Town of Oyster Bay, and is referring the site plan to the Planning Advisory Board for appropriate action. And we have the affidavit of sign posting and the affidavit of mailing by the applicant.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Just as an administrative matter, I do have some additional green cards that I'd like to pass up. Would that go to Mr. Byrne?
Okay.
My appearance for the record tonight, I am Chris Tartaglia, principal owner of the firm High Point Engineering. Our offices are at 1860 Walt Whitman Road, Melville, New York, 11747, and I'm the engineer for the applicant. I'm representing two entities tonight, both the owner of the property and the operator of the property. The owner of the property's name is The Other Side of Lamar, LLC, and the operator and tenant for the facility is Educational Bus Transportation Corp. If the board or anyone needs assistance from ownership, I have the vice president of the entities with me tonight, Ron Gambini, to my left. If any issues or questions come up that I can't answer, he'd be happy to assist. Just as an overview, so Educational Bus is relocating their current bus depot operation from their existing facility, which is located on Old Country Road in Hicksville, to this location, which is 85 Bloomingdale Road in Hicksville. This is a school bus-only operation, and it serves both special needs and pre-K students located throughout Nassau County, as well as some direct service for a portion of the routes from the Wantagh and Seaford school districts. A little bit on the property, up to my left is the aerial photo of the subject property and surrounding area. The property itself is located on Bloomingdale Road, roughly a quarter mile south of South Broadway, which is New York State Route 107. As Mr. Byrne indicated, the Nassau County tax map is Section 46, Block 629, lots 18, 20, and 62. The overall property area is 67,982 square feet, or just shy of 3.8 acres. And surrounding the property to the north is a Cintas industrial uniform facility. To the east is the Lowe's Home Improvement Center that fronts Route 107. To the south is State Farm Insurance Office to the, in the notched-out portion of the property, and then Willis Court, which is the right-of-way which also maintains some frontage on this property. Willis Court is a dead-end cul-de-sac which ends immediately adjacent to the east property line of the subject property. As can be seen from the aerial photo, Bloomingdale Road is a border divider, if you will, between the commercial and industrial uses located to the east, to its east side, and the residential neighborhood to the west. If I can get this to work, I'm going to go to the site plan. Great. Okay, so just an overview of the development. I guess, and I believe Mr. Byrne indicated this. There was a memo dated November 25th of 1925 from Julia Schneider to Scott Byrne indicating that from a SEQA perspective, this project was deemed a SEQA Type 2 action, which means that this is a no-impact action from an environmental perspective. The proposed development primarily consists of reducing the existing almost 32,000 square foot building to roughly 20,500 square feet footprint. Modifications will be made inside that building as follows. There'll be, to the west side of that building, there will be 13,500 square foot of repair and maintenance garage with the bay doors, the openings to that facility facing the east. There will be 6,150 square feet of office area within the building and a small 510 square foot parts mezzanine located within the building. Other site improvements to the east side of the building will be a fueling canopy to the rear of that building with 3 fuel dispensers beneath that canopy and 2 10,000-gallon approved, Nassau County Health Department approved underground double-wall fiberglass fuel tanks. The fueling of vehicles here will be limited only to those of the operation. It will not be open to the public or any other vehicles. As you can see to the plan on my right, the facility will have landscaping added around its periphery. The current property has literally no landscaping on it with the exception of the area to the west of the building, directly in front of the building and in between the curb cuts. As can be seen on the plan, we are adding landscaping around the entire perimeter of the site. Based on our conversations with the planning staff and planning department, we try to add as much landscaping as we can to a property, and in this case, we have done so. Its operation as a bus facility does not allow internal landscaping because we obviously need to have the buses be able, the vehicles be able to circulate within. From a engineering perspective, we are augmenting the existing drainage system to add additional catch basins to capture stormwater runoff. And as noted earlier, with the installation of the landscape area, we're actually significantly reducing the runoff that is generated from this facility in a storm, such that the existing drainage system, which is functioning properly now, will actually have less volume of runoff to deal with in the future. We are adding roughly 7,000 square feet of landscaping to this lot. In terms of access, the 2 existing curb cuts on Bloomingdale Road are slated to remain. We are also proposing a new curb cut on Willis Court. However, that curb cut will be gated and closed. Its only use would be in emergency situations where if for some reason one of or both of the curb cuts were blocked on Bloomingdale Road, there will still be access for vehicles to enter and exit the facility because we have to get those buses rolling. There are gates at the entrances that will be locked during all hours when the facility is closed for business. We're adding ADA accessible parking stalls to the front of the building and an access ramp for employees to enter the building if they are handicapped. Hours of operation for the facility will be Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. total. Saturday, they're not planning on operating. If there is any activity at the site, it would be for necessary bus maintenance, and in that instance, there would be maybe 1 to 2 total employees on the property on Saturdays. And Sundays, there is never a need for any operations at the facility, other than perhaps if there happens to be snowfall, there will be snow clearing on the property on Sunday, but that seems to be a rarer occurrence nowadays. With regard to parking, in the call of the roll, the number of parking stalls was called out. However, I just want to clarify exactly what is being provided and how the town calculates their required parking. So, we're required to provide 1 employee parking stall for every bus or van at the facility. In other words, every driver, each bus has 1 driver. There is required by town code to have 1 dedicated parking stall for each bus or van. So our total number of buses and vans is 68. There's an additional requirement to provide parking for office staff, and that's at a rate of 1 per 200 square feet, 1 stall per every 200 square feet of the office area. So for the 6,600 square feet of office area, 34 additional employee stalls are required. 68 and 34 means that there's a total of 102 employee parking stalls provided. You may have heard in the call of the roll that there are 171 parking stalls. Well, the way the town calculates this is also those additional bus and van stalls are also counted. So the total count of stalls that we have are provided are employee stalls are 103. We have standard bus stalls of 57 and 11 van stalls. So that total is 171 total parking stalls on the site. And again, just to recap, 103 employee stalls, 68 bus and van stalls. The bus routes themselves are pretty well known. We've got a kind of an easier situation here in terms of not having to predict times of routes and things because we've got an existing operation that is being relocated to this particular facility. So Mr. Gambini has been able to give me very accurate data with regard to exactly when and how many buses leave and at what time. So basically, as one can imagine, the bus routes are broken down into AM and PM, or AM and afternoon routes. So in the morning, the 68 total bus routes are as follows. 1 will leave at 5:45 a.m. for an early pickup. 3 will then leave at 6 a.m., between 6 and 6:05. And then the balance, the 64, will leave between 6:15 and 7:15 a.m. So roughly 1 bus about every minute will be leaving in the 60-minute hour, between 6:15 and 7:15. In the afternoon, we've got a similar routing. 1 bus will leave early at 1:15 p.m. to make a remote pickup. 4 more will leave at 1:30 p.m. to go make a pickup. And then the balance, 63, will leave between 1:45 and 2:45 p.m. Once their routes are completed, they return to the facility, park the buses, get in their vehicles, and return to their homes or wherever they're going after work. A couple of other things that I just wanted to mention. That's really the substance of my presentation in terms of the development and the operations, and we're certainly here to answer any questions the board or the public may have But a couple of things that I wanted to add, because I know they're of concern on most bus applications. And one of them is idling time. And really, that's a concern for any residents or neighbors with any truck or diesel-type use. So what folks may not be aware of is that the state has a 5-minute maximum idling time requirement that's regulated by the State Department of Environmental Conservation. And I think unlike probably a lot of trucking firms, buses are very highly regulated with regard to each bus has a GPS data tracker on it, so that Mr. Gambini and his staff can locate any bus at any point in their route, and the data of that trip is actually logged, speed of the bus, time it spent idling, time it spent at stoplights, the entire trip run, and as needed, they can and will be able to run reports relative to compliance with the idling criteria, should the state or any other jurisdictional agency want that data. They actually have that logged, and it's able to be produced for that purpose. A related point, which I think is similar in nature, is that, and probably one which I'm not sure the board really is aware of, is the state of New York has mandated fairly significant and stringent regulations with regard to conversion of bus fleets to electric vehicles or EVs. You'll note on the site plan that we're proposing, we have placeholders for future EV charging stations in between the buses at the parking areas. And they actually have purchased several, they meaning the owner, Mr. Gambini's company, has actually purchased several electric buses already that will be housed at this facility. And the regulations take effect in 2027, and 100% of all bus fleets in New York are required to be fully electric by 2035. So that sounds like a long way off, but it's only 9 years. And there are phased-in requirements where they need to phase out the fossil fuel buses and vans and phase in the electric vehicles throughout that 9-year period. And they must comply or they cannot operate. So that's the general overview. I'm certainly here, happy to answer any questions that the board or the public may have.
Okay, let's start with the board. Anyone on the board, questions, comments?
I just had a question on the number for the parking. There's 68 buses going out, so there's 68, the bus drivers have to come into, so that's 68 cars and 68 buses. Is that part of that calculation you got given to us?
That is correct, yes, sir.
And it's still, it's 103 for employees. Are the drivers considered employees at that time? They're under that count?
Yes. So I think the key point, and I'm sorry if I confused you, but the key point with this facility, and I've done several other bus applications where in other townships where they actually allow the employees and the drivers' vehicles to park within the bus vehicles, the bus stalls that are vacated, Oyster Bay doesn't allow that. They're much more stringent. And I, in all truth, understand why. Because we've all seen bus facilities where mostly the employee vehicles are parked up and down roadways. And as I'm sure some folks, I'm sure the residents know and the board members may know, there are very stringent no parking regulations up and down Bloomingdale Road that are very clear that there is no parking on this roadway. And again, thankfully to the town code or as a credit to the town code, we've got ample ability to park every single vehicle for every employee at this facility, as well as have every bus parked at this facility at exactly the same time. And again, the nature of the business is that drivers pull in their personal vehicle, get in the bus and leave. So the parking lot will be largely empty, 50% during those route times. And then when the routes return, there'll be all buses in the parking lot and no passenger vehicles.
It's a question on the buses where they're parked. It's to the east of the property. I see the side and so forth. In the morning, when they come and they do start up, I mean, there's a 5-minute regulation. Is that enough time for them to warm up and do they fuel up at that point and then leave, or what would be the procedure in the morning?
I might just, are they fuel coming in or going out? So, yeah, so the fueling operation, answering your second question first, sorry. They will fuel in on their way back in. And I think that's probably because they've got a certain route time to make, so I'm sure when they arrive in the morning, they've got to get out. But the 5-minute idling time, that's a mandate by the state and it's regulated. So it may take a couple blocks before that bus is fully warmed. I'm not sure if they have block heaters in them. The big buses, so the larger buses have the block heaters in them, like
But
most
at
diesel
that time, when
trucks.
they start up, they're all located to the rear of the property?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
You said you have 64 buses leaving between 6:15 and 7:15. And then they leave at 1:15, 1:45 to 2:15. What do they do when they don't their first route? Do they come back to the yard, or do they stay off-site?
Oh, absolutely. They do come back to the
They come
yard.
back to the yard.
And so while the leaving time takes place within that hour, those 2 hours that I mentioned, the morning hour and the evening hour, so again, that works out to roughly one bus a minute is leaving, roughly on average. Some can leave
Right.
at the same time, some can leave earlier. But as you can well imagine, the buses are all, the pickup points are all staggered and different. They're throughout Nassau County. So some of those buses may need to leave earlier, some may need to leave later. And same thing coming back. They're staggered coming back in because some are traveling very far to do their pickups and drop-offs, and then others are
What do
coming
they do for
closer.
the 3.5, 4 hours? Do they leave the site, go home, and come
Yeah.
back? Okay.
Yeah, they go
So
home.
there's gonna be in and out traffic?
Or they go to another job, but yeah, they're not on premises, correct.
You spoke a lot about the drivers. Isn't it required under state law, and I don't know, because I don't have children, isn't it required that each bus have a monitor on the bus as well as the driver?
Why don't you,
Yeah, I understand.
let's get him on the record. Come on up to the podium, please.
Thank you, thanks. Just name and address.
Ron Gambini, the office is 63 Lamar Street, West Babylon. Yeah, some vehicles would require a monitor, not every vehicle. Depends on the students that are on the bus.
And is the parking sufficient to accommodate
Yeah, in many
cars for the
instances,
monitors? Because I'm sure they don't come with the bus drivers.
no, in many instances, the monitors get picked up by the driver. They don't even come into the yard,
They get picked up on the route, is that it?
prior to the route, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you spoke about the number of buses, the times, and everything like this. Is that just for this year? Could that change next year?
Tiny bit, but it's pretty static year to year. Depends on the population and how the students move, because you create the route so you efficiently pick the kids up, but those operating hours have been like that for 20 years.
Did you have a traffic study done on this?
No, we did not. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Warner, so we've got the unique part of this application, or the unique feature of this, is that we have an existing business. We know the traffic that is going to be utilized. We know the number of buses, we know the times and the routes. As I'm sure you're familiar, as am I, when we're doing applications with proposed restaurants or proposed fill-in-the-blanks, they utilize an ITE manual to develop theoretical trip guides, which I've been before many boards. Some believe them, some don't. I think we've got kind of a unique situation here where we have an actual operating business that knows exactly the number of buses and exactly the number of routes and the times. So that was the data that was provided to the DER, the town's Department of Environmental Review, and they accepted it as being sufficient, as indicated by their Type 2 action designation.
One more question.
Sure.
In the plans, I'm trying to find the page it was, but it's hard to, it appears that there's either driving school or driver training. Is that for existing drivers, or is that a school for incoming possibilities, training people to be bus drivers?
It's primarily for existing drivers. There are significant regulations with regard to training the drivers. They have to have regular training. Mr. Gambini can speak to the actual frequency, but yeah, there is a classroom located within there. And generally speaking, if there is a class required, and I don't know if they're monthly or bi-monthly or whatever they are, so that would be the time when the folks would probably at the end of their route, maybe not go home, attend that 1 hour or 2 hour refresher class, and then leave. But again, all all the better that we have the ability to accommodate every single employee on this property in a parking stall with a full load of buses on the property. I think that's the key point that I want to make.
I just wanted to check
Clear.
if there's also an additional function that you're going to be driver training as well as supporting.
It's all existing employees.
Existing, okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, the buses come back, when they come back, they refuel. What if they come back, they got to refuel? How about the queuing for the gas pumps?
I've observed.
How many do you have lining up to refuel?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, and I think the answer to that is that there's very little queuing, and that's simply because, and I mentioned this to Mr. Castellane's response. So when the buses come back in, they are very much staggered in terms of their return time, again, because while the buses all leave very close to the same hour of time, as they're coming back in, they are very much staggered in terms of when they return, because, again, some of them are going 10 miles away to pick up students, some of them are picking one up in a half a mile away. So I've observed their operations at both their Hicksville and their other facilities that they have, and have never seen a queue at all at the fueling lanes. However, if there were, note that we've located that canopy at the very rear of the property. It has no ability to have any effect. It's easily 300 feet from any of the entrances on the property, so it would not have any ability if there were a queue to affect
If
the
you had
roadways.
6 in a row, do you ever have 6 in a row? 5?
So I'm sorry, he said that they fuel every 2 to 3 days.
Not
so
every
I'm-
day.
Right, no, yeah, the tanks are large, and again,
Okay.
another function of how far they're going.
Okay, well, so it's
For the
not every day
pickups.
when they come in, they got to fill up?
Right,
Okay. Do you have parts that have to come in? What about a loading zone? Do you have a loading
Yeah,
area?
we've provided, I guess it's not really going to work. Yeah, so
Right in
we've,
the back, right in the corner.
right, yeah, I'm sorry, it's hard to, I don't know if my laser would. Right,
don't-
thank you, Mr.
Okay.
I don't notice on the plan, or I didn't notice, and I didn't read the notes that closely, but there's nothing as far as a snow storage area in the event of a heavy snowstorm, or, normally they have an area, they show areas, minimal areas.
Right.
And then there's a note on the plan that says that in the event of a, excuse me, a substantial.
Snow event,
They'll
right.
they'll, truck the snow away.
Right. Yes, and I do know that is an Oyster Bay requirement. They are very concerned about that. So as I indicated early on in my presentation, so we are actually creating these curved landscaped areas. And really, the best spot for snow storage would be the easterly line of the property. We've got a 15-foot wide landscape area in the very rear, and we carry that around to an 18-foot wide landscape area as it approaches Willis Court. So that would be the primary snow storage area, pushing everything to the east. And then, of course, if there's a massive snow event, they would use an off-site, a carting facility for that.
Do you ever have New York State inspections on the facility?
Yeah,
Because you have all this stuff logged, does somebody come and check?
Yeah, so I know that there's actually, I don't know if, I believe it's a state DOT, inspections are very, very thorough with the bus companies. And again, so what we've got is a total of 6 service bays that we're going to be proposing in here. And I have been on this company's properties and seen the DOT inspectors come in. They're primarily checking the brakes and the safety of the buses and the logs and things. I don't know the frequency, but I know they're there a lot. They pay a lot of attention to school buses.
So you do inspections, you do all of that right on the premises?
Correct, yeah, maintenance, all the maintenance, oil changes, fluid changes, things like that. But again, only for the buses used at this facility, not a public garage.
And how are you handling trash?
So we've got a trash enclosure located to the, I guess we call it the northeast corner of the building. It's a 10-foot wide by 20-foot long trash enclosure, double-gated trash enclosure. And the trash will be picked up several times per week as needed, and all the trash will be housed within that enclosure. The waste fluids themselves will be kept inside the building within double-wall Nassau County Health Department approved tanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Board?
The auto repair, is that just for the buses on this site?
That's correct. Only the buses for educational bus transport. It will not be for public or any other fleets.
No outdoor storage of materials or parts or anything like that?
No, sir.
When the buses leave, they can leave from either entrance, exit,
Correct.
depending on where they have to.
Right, right. And would head north on Bloomingdale. Obviously, Bloomingdale narrows into the neighborhood to the south, so they would all head north.
And everybody can arrive and go in either one, either entrance or exit?
Yeah, that's the idea. I think in speaking with ownership, generally speaking, they will work out a flow to the facility. And generally speaking, I think they will typically take the larger buses in through the southerly curb cut just because it's a little wider. And the northerly curb cut will likely be the employee entrance and the smaller vans. We just haven't gotten to that point to think of that, but I believe that's the way this facility will operate.
Can you go over the planting in the front of the building on Bloomingdale Road?
Certainly. So just referring to the color site plan to my left, right now, there's a pretty substantial existing hedgerow that's there. When we had our initial meetings and our reviews by the planning department, they wanted to see something a little bit more robust out there. So we're going to be replacing that hedge with street trees. There's 4 street trees that are proposed per town code in that front landscape aisle in between the 2 curb cuts. And then we're going to be planting a dense row of evergreens also directly behind that, those trees to buffer those parking stalls which exist and face to the west. We're also adding parking stalls along the front of the building, directly to the west side of the building. And that we are going to be maintaining, there's an existing pretty mature hedgerow that is right in front of the building. We're going to be maintaining that. But if you've ever been to this facility, for any of the board members, there's a significant gradient downward into the property, so that when you're driving by, even though the building is rather large, it is quite obscured as you drive by the facility. And the property itself slopes roughly from front to rear about 6 or 7 feet. So there is a fairly substantial, sort of natural buffering, if you will, of this property based on that gradient differential.
The evergreens, how tall are they gonna be?
They'll be 6 feet at planting, and then they'll, as evergreens will grow, typically they can be at, 18 to 20 feet within 4 or 5 years.
And everything is irrigated?
Landscape irrigation, yes, that's correct.
Regarding the bus maintenance, is that just an 8-hour day for the mechanics, or do they work at night?
Yeah, so there will be 2 shifts of bus maintenance. So I mentioned earlier that the end-to-end hours of operation of the facility will be 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that encompasses the 2 shifts for the maintenance staff.
Are there gonna be buses from other yards getting maintained at this yard?
No,
So it's only for this yard?
that's correct.
So Saturday, no sports, no music, no trips, no special events?
Yeah, there's very little that happens on the weekends. I know that their existing facility, they have no trips. Maybe in a blue moon, there
No
might
sports
be
games they have to
something.
take them on, travel?
That's not who these guys service. Yeah,
Oh.
they're not, they're more of the, again, as I mentioned earlier, so they're really doing pre-K and special needs primarily.
Oh.
So that's why they're.
Lower grades.
Right, right. And their route locations, that's why their route locations are so varied, because their population is spread throughout the
I'm just thinking of
county.
a busy weekend, there's stuff
Agreed.
goes on all the time.
Yeah, and there are other bus companies that would actually serve a local district, and they're primarily located right within that district. And yeah, I believe they might be more busy on the weekends,
So
sure.
I can ask you what grade levels they service?
It's pre-K,
Pre-K?
and I believe in the special needs, that can vary, any grades? Elementary? Oh, okay, so it's all
Pre-K,
pre-K. yeah.
and special needs could be 8th grade, 10th grade?
Sorry, I'm gonna have Ron come back up, I apologize.
Ron Gambini again. The pre-K which is the bulk of the routes and the vehicles, is strictly for Nassau County. So, no special needs transportation for first grade through eighth grade.
So it's all pre-K, special needs.
So who
All
gets,
events.
who gets the special need, what special needs kids are there? I'm just
I'm
not
sorry?
clear. What special needs kids are there? You're just dealing with special needs kids pre-KK, period? Or you're
Pre-K.
doing like
It's the
eighth?
Nassau County pre-kindergarten, so I don't know where they go.
You're just doing kindergarten and kindergarten, pre-K?
Just pre-K.
Or just pre-K, period?
Yeah, no
Oh, I'm
first grade.
thinking of a whole school system. I'm thinking of a whole,
No,
Just pre-K.
no, it's a special program with
Okay.
Nassau County.
okay.
And then there are a few routes, it's a minimal number, that Seaford and Wantaw, but that's
Okay.
7 or 8 buses, so.
Okay.
But, and to answer your other question, there's no field trips on Saturdays and
Okay.
Sundays. It's mostly after-school activities, in certain periods.
Okay,
but
good.
Not on the weekend.
And one, can you just go over your lighting setup?
So we've contained, there's a lighting plan contained in the package. It is sheet number SP3, and that lighting plan is in conformance with all town code
Do you have
requirements.
Do you have it on the screen for people to see?
I don't, but they wouldn't be able to make it
Okay.
out anyway. The
All right,
the
go
numbers are
ahead,
really
go ahead.
small. But, so just the highlights of it are that the average foot candles, which is how we measure lighting on the property, is only 2.23, which is quite limited. The maximum foot candles we have on the property is going to be 32 foot candles, but that is at the very rear of the property, nowhere near the west side, near the residences, and that's primarily under the canopy, the fueling canopy. We want to have good light there, obviously, because people are dispensing fuel. But I think the most important feature of this is that when the facility's closed at night, the lights are going to be off. So this is not an all-night lighting situation.
And the facility is locked?
Yeah,
Gated.
We have gates that we have at the facility just to discourage loitering or somebody that may want to pull in. Definitely don't want to make that a hangout spot, if you will.
Okay, all right.
Will the lighting down shielded?
Yes, it's fully shielded and dark sky compliant.
Anything else? No. Cliff, good? Okay, stand by.
Yes, sir.
We're going to hear anyone who wishes to speak on this application, and then, Chris, maybe you can respond at the end. We'll hear what people have to say, and take notes, good. Okay. Come on, yeah, here's the rule. Here's the rule. You have to come up here. You'll be first, so come up and state your name and address for the record. And then we'll hear everybody, and then,
Questions on my phone.
and then they'll respond.
Teresa, T-H-E-R-E-S-A, Grice, G-R-I-E-S, 8 Scooter Lane, Hicksville. Hello. Face him and ask?
No, just
Okay.
tell us, and then he'll come up, he's gonna
Okay,
take
so
notes.
the first thing I'm totally shocked at is that there was no traffic study, because if these buses are gonna come out and go north on Bloomingdale Road, I can't imagine the line that there's gonna be at that light, because right now, when you leave, like at rush hour to go to work, you're waiting at that light forever. So that's gonna be a bulk backup all down Bloomingdale Road. That's my one thing. Then I just
Which
wanna know,
way,
like-
to, north?
No, yeah,
The north,
yeah, there's
okay.
a big intersection there,
Yeah,
5 corner.
okay.
Why would a residential area be chosen for a bus depot? Is the current one in a residential area? That's my question.
Okay.
Current one in a residential
Well,
area?
just look, tell us.
Okay,
He'll
I'm
answer at
waiting
the
for an
end.
answer from
We'll
him,
come
but-
up, we'll get you at the end.
okay. My other question is, so these 5:45 AM buses leaving, that's very early for a residential, let me just tell you that I wasn't expecting to speak, so I'm not really prepared, but I'm just gonna give you a day in the life of living off of Bloomingdale Road, okay? We've got business that has no parking for their employees, parks all over our street, Scooter Lane. We have businesses that don't empty their dumpster, we have rats in our backyard. We've got the noise of Lowe's, all other trucks delivering items back, the reverse beeping sounds constantly, 5 AM, 4:30, 5:30, constantly, all the time. So this makes me very nervous. Like, I can see buses backing up. I'm going to hear beep, 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 like we do now. I don't know. I have a lot of concerns about this being in a residential area. And I would also like to know, are we going to hear like mechanics working on buses at like, 9:30, 10 AM at night? So, is he going to answer all these after?
We're going to take it because
Okay.
I'm sure there's going to be repeats.
Okay,
Just the way it is, so.
And I don't know why he's saying that what it is right now is obscure. I mean, there's nothing obscure about what's there now. It's out in the open, it's a mess. I've seen boxes all in the parking lots. It's really a disaster. And it's not a hidden thing. It's gonna be a big eyesore in the middle of a residential area. And so my concern the most is the traffic, the idling, the diesel fuels, exhaust. It's just adding all to the problems we have already. Like, when I saw that sign, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, you're going to add another thing to all what we already deal with. So that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
I'm very much against it.
Okay.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Nick Vaglica, 16 Elliott Drive. My home is about 75 feet from this proposed location, so it makes me really happy to be here. So if you notice in the presentation that the gentleman did about the architecture, we discussed what was to the north and what was to the east and what was to the south, but we didn't talk about what was west of 75 feet from the building, which is 20 residential homes. Mine being, as I said, 75 feet away. I have an 85-year-old mother with asthma, with heart problems. My wife has cancer. I have an asthmatic daughter. Both sides of me already are sick people. So even if in a perfect world, as the gentleman stated, that only 5 minutes of idling, which, take a grain of salt, could be 10, could be 4. Even if it's 5 minutes, if you do quick math, 68 buses coming in, coming back, coming in, coming back, equates to 11 hours of pollution per day in my neighborhood of diesel fuel. Not to mention the beeping of the backup cameras, the traffic jam that already takes us 20 minutes to get from Elliott Drive to 107 because of all the other commercial traffic. And I just thought it was funny that he stated a no pollution impact law based in 1925, which was 100 years ago, according to my calculator. A lot has changed on Elliott Drive and Scooter Lane in 100 years. It's very bad for our neighborhood. As my neighbor just said, why would you put this in a neighborhood where this house is right up against you? The social impact, the traffic, the pollution, it's not good. We're already dealing with Grumman and all that junk, and now we got to deal with, all this. And according to the statement, we're looking to get they're looking to get a variance for a storage facility when we're using words like we're rolling out at 5:45. So we're not looking for a variance for a storage facility, we're looking for a bus depot, right? So buses coming in, buses going out, buses coming in, buses going out is not storage, that's a depot. And now we're talking about a diesel tank 75 feet from my bedroom window. We're talking about electric, which I didn't hear anything about the safety protocols for electric charging. Those things are like bombs. You ever watch TV when the little batteries blow up in elevators and kill people? What about these charging stations? Is anyone trained on how to mitigate that? The fire department trained on that?
I believe he said that's coming in 9 years.
Yeah, I know.
State is doing it.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah.
They can come tomorrow. 68 buses could be 300 buses in a week, and nothing can stop them. I said my piece. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charlie Raisinson. For full disclosure, I am the president of the Hicksville Chamber of Commerce. I am not here representing them, but I live at 47 Elliott Drive. I have been there for 48 years. Prior to that, 1961 through 1963, my dad owned a gas station that used to be the Esso station at the corner of Bloomingdale Road and Hicksville Road. I have a long familiarity with this particular location. Back then, our biggest problem, and excuse the words, but we used to have to deal with the grum bags coming out of Grumman. And sorry, Kevin. And the amount of traffic they caused, even to the point that we had to go ahead and put tires across the station to prevent them from going across. Now people use that same area and have to cut through where R&R Dental is so they can try to beat the light because there's no right turn on red at that light. And I'll give you some timing on that light. Hicksville Road, right now, if you time the light, is 1 minute and 20 seconds. Hazel Street is 20 seconds. New South Road, 20 seconds. And Bloomingdale Road is 20 seconds of time for the road with no turn on red. Also, Steve Rhodes, the state senator, instituted with the New York State a traffic study to go from South Oyster Bay Road to the expressway because of the traffic and the backup that happens every day throughout Hicksville. We're trying to get the road timed so that during the day, because you guys went ahead and made Hicksville Road the main road to the expressway versus going up South Oyster Bay Road because you didn't want to infringe on the residents of Plainview to go to the expressway. So all the traffic coming out of the Grumman facility has to go up Hicksville Road, or they have to go up New South Road to get to Old Country Road. This is a major backup every morning and every day that we are there. Now, the average bus is 50 feet, and the traffic for 20 seconds, a vehicle can travel 733 feet in 20 seconds. The average bus is 40 feet, 10 feet in between. Guess what? 6 buses bring you down to Michigan. Also, I'm the one who requested the stop sign and got it on Bloomingdale Road at Ann Drive. That's not where I wanted it. I wanted it going north at Michigan, and I wanted one at Elliott or I think it's Albert, because Bloomingdale Road is a race circuit with people exceeding the speed limit completely. And until we had that stop sign, the last stop sign was a mile away in the town of Hempstead. Now, the police are having a good time giving out tickets when they want to over there, and on average give out 20 to 40 tickets in a period of time of 3 hours for not stopping at the stop sign. This is a major road and a major problem. When you have something like this, just think about how many buses you're talking, say 50, coming out in an hour. I gave you some statistics, do the math. They cannot get out of the community in a reasonable amount of time. This kind of building either belongs inside the Grumman property, where there is another bus company, by the way, or it belongs like on Duffy Avenue, which is a larger road, which would have been, nobody complained over there. There's empty lots over there for sale. And this facility at one time was actually Rheingold Beer's distribution point. So, as I say, it's a little bit of history of the neighborhood. As for electric buses, just to answer the question, I'm a member of the firehouse also of Bethpage. Yeah, we are trained in electrical vehicle fires, and the training is let them burn. So you have the toxic smoke from that. This was a stupid idea on the governor. But it is there as a problem. It is something for the fire department to deal with, and other people are dealing with it. But you've got the problem of traffic and community standards. And these standards are not going to be met because we're not going to be able to get out. I know personally, when I have to go to a fire call, and Bloomingdale Road is backed up, I cut through on our dental and avoid the traffic light because it saves me about a minute and a half of time. And you know what a minute and a half could mean in a fire situation. So, and I'm one of the old guys who used to drive the ambulance, so that's important on time. It is a problem for the area. I know the man wants to go ahead and do something for the community, but at the same time, we do have a problem because they gave the TriStar, whatever they're called, Tri-State, and they can't park on Bloomingdale Road. They do not have adequate parking, and they park all over the neighborhood. I've called the police to get these cars ticketed. They park over the curb line. There is nothing that has been good for the community about them. We didn't have the problem when Cascade was there. They did park their cars on their curb, but TriStar now is parking all over the community in the residential area. At least 15 cars a day are parking there because you guys didn't order them to have ample parking, even though they have a side lot. That's about it. If you have any questions for me,
No, but thank you for your service.
it's no problem.
Definitely.
My name is Nancy Lowenthal. I live at 50 Elliott Drive. And that house has had Lowenthal's in it since it was built in 1953. It's one of the first 5 houses built in that development. My husband's parents lived there with him. We bought it from them. And we've been there since 1979. Now, I did a little math in my head. It's between 500 and 600 new vehicles coming in and out every day on Bloomingdale. Bloomingdale may be used as a major road, but it's a little narrow 2-lane road. And I have to say, we've been having tremendous amount of pothole problems. Adding 60-some-odd buses coming in and out and in and out every day is going to destroy Bloomingdale Road. Now, if I'm old, my husband's older, if we need an ambulance, if we need a fire truck, at just these times, it's going to be very difficult. And it's going to delay when lives are at stake. This is not the area for a bus depot. An insurance office, okay, but a bus depot is ridiculous. It's too many big vehicles coming up and down that road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go get it, Holly.
Good evening. My name is Holly Kopselov. I live at 2 Elliott Drive in Hicksville. I did prepare a statement, but I think I'm going to go a little off the cuff on this one, just in response to a couple of things that were said earlier. As far as the gentleman with the assistants on the bus, New York State does require for pre-K that there be an assistant on the bus. And from personal experience, I know because my sister is a bus attendant, I've never heard of anybody picked up at their houses by a bus. Unless that's something different they do, okay. It was mentioned in the beginning that there were gonna be special needs students, and then it was taken away. So I'm not really clear. A lot of the answers that they gave changed a little bit without any actual proof. So I do know one thing. It's, it's easier to discuss these things ahead of time and maybe prevent or change some things as opposed to letting this happen. It'll be harder to take care of it in the end. I know my neighbors had mentioned tri-state air conditioning. I've had a bunch of letters gone out. I had a town inspector come, code enforcement, come. He tried to help me out. It seems that the things that happen either happen before hours of operation for the town, or you're not allowed to accept photos or videos of anything happening. And understandably, it has to be seen with their own eyes in order to do something about it. These things are happening early in the morning. If you're going to have buses going at 5:30 in the morning, who's to say if they're idling for 15, 20 minutes, they're not going to be able to take our word on it? They'll have to see it themselves. And, you know, code enforcement said, we're not paid to come out that early in the morning. I did invite him for coffee and breakfast to sit on my deck, but aside from that, just a couple of things. You know, this isn't a not in my backyard issue. It really is an issue of safety. The traffic patterns there, if you're going north, like my neighbors had said, I know from personal experience, regular Monday through Friday, I will sit at that light for 4 cycles. It's almost an extra 10 minutes that you're sitting there. Let's add 60-something buses coming out 1 every minute, and there's no way to turn that corner. Like we said, there's no right-hand turns. It's, you know, you have to wait for that light. To cut through the parking lot, it's a one-way out. So people who are going through that parking lot, that's also causing a safety issue because we're forced to do these things sometimes, unfortunately. Is this zoned for commercial? Yes, but this is not an industrial area. This is for small commercial businesses, actually, in this area. And, you know, Town of Oyster Bay has long recognized the importance of preserving neighborhood character, protecting quality of life, and ensuring that development fits its surroundings. The scale, intensity, and operational footprint of this facility are not compatible with nearby residential issues and would impose an undue burden on the people who already live here. We are going to respectfully urge the board to deny this application. I would also like to submit a petition signed by my neighbors opposing. My mother also lived at 2 Elliott Drive and also passed away from cancer. We live in Bethpage, as I'm sure a lot of you know. It is already a high cancer region. We don't need to add any catalyst to that. You know, diesel exhaust is diesel exhaust. Waiting 9 years for electric vehicles is 9 years of contaminants in the air that we're going to have to deal with. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Hey, you were here already.
I know,
Go
I
on,
just
go
got to put one thing, we talked about ambulances for a second, and want to give you an idea of timing. I got a call one day on my fire radio that we had a call, and it was across the street from me, and a person wasn't breathing. It's Nancy. I ran out of my house, ran across the street, and got her back. And very simple, it took 8 minutes for the PD ambulance to show up. It took 10 minutes for the fire department ambulance to show up. It took 6 minutes for the first cop to show up. Do you know how long it is waiting in that situation? Breathing your neighbor back?
It's tough. I know.
Just to know what that road means and how much trouble we have. My neighbor's still here because I lived across the street.
Don't do that. That's my job.
I just want to voice a couple of concerns. I live at 20 Teamster Lane. My name is Michael Kutzma. I am not directly across. I'm actually on the other side of the sump. I'm one of the first block on the other side of the sump there. And one of my major concerns is you had stated that there's going to be a runoff of some of the water that's there. You're going to have, I believe it's 68 buses that are going to be there. They're going to leak oil. They're going to do oil, the rain. You'll have catch basins. I don't know if those catch basins will lead into that sump. We already have the plume impact. The plume impact started out, we have it on Teamster Lane, and now less than 100 feet, they're in the sump. That plume has moved in. The last thing we need is some oil and other debris floating into our water. I'm not worried about, or I am worried about it, I apologize, going north. going south, because I am the first block to the left, right after the little deli, we have, out my block is a little tiny block, it's 20 houses, and we have 24 school-aged children there. There is, I do not believe that every single bus is going to head out to Hicksville Road. It did say Massapequa and Seaford, so that's heading south. They go through our streets. There's a lot of little children there. The Levittown community has, especially in this little area there, Fiddler and Forrester and those houses, have an awful lot of children. A lot of young people moved in, and with all the extra buses that are there, there's 5 school buses that come just to pick up the 21 children that live on my block in different areas, because they're too big of a group. And third is that my wife is a bus driver for the BOCES school. And if there are special needs children, they are required to have a matron on that bus. So even if you're taking 7 to 10, you're looking at extra 7 to 10 people. That's provided that there's only one extra need child there. Because I do know with BOCES, depending on the special needs, there's 1-to-1. So if you have 6 kids, that's 6 extra matrons that have to be on that bus. So again, parking and the people moving in and out are just going to add. So the 171 parking spots, I think they're going to need a lot more if they do special needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Zheng Yigeng. I live at 24 Elliott Drive. That's a proposed spot, just like a 2 house down. Right now, already the lights and the noise, and let alone all the traffic, the gentleman lady said about it. Whenever during the rush hour, we try to make a turn either from Bloomingdale north or south. We have to wait. And we cannot imagine if get like 60 buses, 1 traffic light, 1 green light, maybe you can get 5 bus pass through, have to stop red light again. That would be disaster for the whole neighborhood. Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Okay.
Good evening, guys. My name is Pablo Portugal. I live at 11 Elliott Drive. Same concerns, mostly with the traffic, and like most people are saying, that light changes every 20 seconds. And to add 60 buses, 60-plus buses, I don't see how more than 5 buses or 5 or 6 vehicles can make the turn. Buses move a little bit, start a little bit slower, so we're not going to make that light. And it really is a problem with the employee parking, and just making left turns or right turns onto Elliott is not easy, because like Charlie had mentioned, we have 1 stop sign. So people do fly down that street. Now you're adding buses, which makes it even harder to see when you have buses blocking your view. And just and the noise and the lights, I think it's a lot for a neighborhood that doesn't really fit all this stuff. And hope you guys take that all into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. We'll hear anyone else wish to speak, or if not, you have anything new to add, or same?
My name's Mary Foster. I live on 39 Scooter Lane, and my concern is about the pollution, and also, my son has seizures, and the noise, he needs proper sleep, so I don't think that would be, if he needed an ambulance or something. I also have autoimmune, I have lupus, so I just think the pollution would be, terrible. So, for those reasons.
Thank you.
That's why I'm here.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, you want to?
All right, first, I just want to thank all the folks that came tonight to share their thoughts. We understand. We would not purport not to understand the concerns of something new in the community, and that's why we're here. So we do appreciate their comments. Just going to go from front to back here with the folks that started, that spoke. Resounding theme is the potential line at the light. Totally understood, and we didn't study the light, and it's not because we thought to. Again, the Department of Environmental Resources here in the town went through about 18 months of strenuous review of the documents that were all submitted, and the site plan, and the traffic data that was provided, and didn't ask for any additional traffic studies, but certainly if that's this board's desire, we can do so.
Well, I know, I think I would like to,
Yeah.
I would like to have
Sure.
that.
I would like
get
to have
that
it
light
also.
changed.
Understood. Yeah, we can look at timing on the lights. We can look at actual trips on the roadways, actual rush hour times, peak hours, and then come back with a more comprehensive response on
Get the
that.
traffic study at reasonable time, you're saying it,
Yeah.
at reasonable times,
Yeah.
you know?
And again, the benefit I think we have here with this particular use is we already know the times and we know the volumes. So the data that we do, once we get the existing data at the intersections, at the lights, we'll be able to superimpose the actual traffic times that we're going to need these roadways. So I think we'll have a very robust and trustworthy study, so
I
we can
think
do that.
since this is adding traffic, period, a traffic study is, warranted in this instance.
It
Scott?
doesn't meet the threshold for the state secret, but I think because of the buses, and they're all leaving at the same time, and they're gonna be queuing at a light, and the length of the buses, I know that the secret just has a straight number that says if it's less than 100 trips per peak hour,
Right.
no impact.
Right.
We don't always agree with that. So we appreciate you offering
understood.
to work with the community, and let's figure out exactly what this situation is gonna provide.
We absolutely understand, and we will address that concern. That was definitely the underlying theme, and understandably so.
I don't know, do lights get adjusted based on traffic studies? Then I think
Oh, yeah.
that would help everybody.
Sure, sure. So if I can address a couple of the other concerns.
Yes.
So the first speaker that came up to speak talked about it being a residential area, and understood, as I indicated in my presentation, and I did acknowledge the homes to the west side in my recap of the project. It's an interesting roadway, because it indeed is light industrial on the east side. This use is permitted fully as of right. We don't need a variance. This use is allowed. We don't need any special approvals from town board, zoning board, or any other board by code. We're permitted to be here as of right, as a bus depot. We're substantially reducing the size of the building. This building was, I'm sure the neighbors will know, a building supply facility for quite a while. I'm sure that brought in trucks and traffic, especially at early hours, contractors and trucks coming in to pick up. So I understand that with the other significant amount of industrial uses to the north, this roadway is not a stranger to truck traffic and industrial uses because it's an industrially zoned property. So understandably, it's where residential meets industrial, and we understand the concerns, but we didn't make the zoning. The use is permitted as of right. With regard to the idling, I addressed it. The buses are very heavily monitored. The rule is 5 minutes, and, that can be tracked and monitored, and will be. And for anyone that wanted to see a report or a tracking sheet on the idling, it would be available. There was some requests or some discussion of the eyesore of the property. So the building is what it is. We're not changing it substantially. However, we are reducing it substantially. It's about half the size of what it once was about 2 years ago. So the building itself will be smaller. With regard to the noise from the mechanics and the work within the bays, as I indicated, the openings to the bays, to the service bays, all repairs will take place within the building. The door openings for the service bays face Lowe's. They don't face the residential property. They don't face south. They don't face north. They face east. So that will do a very, very good job of buffering any noises that might come out. Wintertime, those doors are closed because it's cold. So I don't think that there'll be any substantial noise issues with regard to the repairs and the maintenance of the buses. Ms. Lowenthal mentioned that there would be 500 to 600 new vehicles. I don't agree with that math. Again, I think we've got probably 100 total bus stalls and passenger vehicle stalls. But again, our traffic study will address that.
On that, do all your buses go out every day, or do some stay behind? Do you need them all every day, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the 68 that we noted, that's the current routes. So those are all the buses we're bringing to the site. And the site plan complies fully with the town code requirements for parking. We're not looking for a parking variance. And as I indicated, Oyster Bay has probably the most stringent, do a lot of bus company work throughout Nassau and Suffolk County. Oyster Bay has the most stringent parking requirements in requiring one employee stall for every bus. I can tell you for sure that most other townships do not require anywhere near that, and they allow you to count the bus stalls as employee stalls.
What
So-
do you do if a bus is down and needs substantial work? How do you fill in one or two buses if you need?
I don't want to speak for Ron, but I would assume that they would pull one from one of their other Nassau County facilities as might be needed.
And just go
Yeah.
where it has to go?
Yeah, and I guess there will be breakdowns now and again, but they do have another facility located in Nassau County that could be a
Okay.
backup. But again, the buses are maintained on premises, so knock wood,
keep
that's
them good,
hopefully a
yeah.
rare occurrence. There was some mention of the Grumman. I'm assuming that was, again, more of the traffic-related issues. I'm not really familiar with the Grumman impact here. But there's this tri-state air conditioning that came up. I believe that is one of the businesses that's located north of the property. And just by hearing the folks speak, it sounds like they have a parking issue. They're parking on the roadway in Bloomingdale and throughout the neighborhood. That's an existing condition. Unfortunately, we can't affect or change. But again, I will say that with the substantial amount of parking that we're providing, again, fully code compliant, plus one, we're actually one over. This is probably one of the best parked bus facilities that I've ever seen and I've ever worked on, and I've done many. So I would like to just try to allay the residents' fears that this will not be a situation where cars need to park anywhere but on this property and buses. There will never be a need for parking elsewhere based on the way it's been designed. Lights and noise, we talked about lights. The lights are fully dark sky compliant. The hours of operation of the facility, once the facility's closed, those lights will be turned off. And even when they're on, they are shielded and directed downward, so they only will illuminate the subject property, none of the adjoining properties, not the roadway. I think that kind of covers it. Just an explanation on the special needs point. That was a minor misunderstanding when I went over it with my client. The way they deemed the pre-K program is a special needs program because the kids are so young. So he said, I think he said special passenger, and I took that to mean special needs. So it is indeed pre-K. My apologies for any confusion, not special needs.
Special
meaning-
needs is a special
Right.
area.
Right,
you know,
right.
yeah.
So I just had that discussion with my client, and he
There
clarified
might
that
be
it is pre-K.
special needs kids on the bus.
I think any kid under pre-K is pretty
Right.
special, quite frankly. They do require a little bit more. So I think that really seems to
Those
address.
evergreens in the front, Scott, how tall were they? You putting them in, 6 feet?
They're going to be 6 feet at planting, but they'll be 20 feet in a couple of years. They'll be fast growing.
Any advantage to have them plant a higher one there?
We certainly can.
8 to 10?
At time of planting?
Something
You
to
can
give them
go-
a
you can
little,
go a little higher. They do grow quickly.
yeah, but what if we give them a little
Yeah, you can go.
height in the beginning,
Yeah,
just
you
to
can give a
shield?
little more if you want.
If-
10-foot at planting?
Yeah.
Sure.
Just one more question. On the south there, just south of the front parking, there's an island next to the drive aisle that has no landscaping. It's the only area that really has no landscaping. Is there a reason for that?
Sorry.
Just right on the south side, just to the south of the building, just because some landscaping there may shield some of the activity on the site from some of the residential properties diagonally on Bloomingdale Road.
Sure. So we're talking about the parking stalls in front of the building, Mr. Byrne? or-
Yeah, just to the south of
Yes,
them.
I
There's a-
see
There's
that.
a green area, but I don't see any landscaping there.
Yeah, against the State Farm
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah. That will get evergreens.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, what about a sign? You having a freestanding sign or on the building?
We are proposing one on the building. It's externally illuminated with, I have it on the, oh boy, that's a mess. I knew that was gonna happen. I have the architectural plan here in the stack. All right, it's a little hard to see, but the front elevation of the building off to the left, there's a educational bus, non-illuminated sign. It's just externally illuminated with some goosenecks. They don't need a lot of signage. It's not like it's a
No,
retail
no.
facility,
Okay.
so it's pretty,
Just wondering.
pretty subtle and sedate. It's really just so any visitors to the site know that they're at the right location.
Are the rooftop units all screened?
I'm sorry?
Are there rooftop units here on these elevations? Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah, so.
They all screened?
They are, yeah. It's really hard to see at this scale, but actually
Yeah.
what you do see on the top is the
Okay.
lattice screening around the
Okay.
units. Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
You have them on the front? They can't be towards the back of the building? The rooftops?
They actually are.
They are?
Yeah,
Okay.
so if you look, I know it's a little, well, they're actually in the front and the back, because the ducts drop down to service the entire facility. But if you look at the second elevation down,
Yeah.
you can see the units that are serving the office area. The office area is up front. But we'll make sure we screen them with a good, solid screening. They'll blend in to the roof line. I believe by the way, there's rooftop units that are out there now that I don't think are screened at all. And frankly, driving by the site, I
Well,
didn't even
they
notice
didn't
them.
come before us,
Yeah,
so,
right.
Scott, anything? Leave it, what do you want to do, reserve? Okay. First of all, thank you.
Thank you.
I think they've answered it.
And thanks to the folks who came.
I want to thank all the people who spoke. Come on up. Come on.
Since the man questioned my math.
All right, let's not get,
No, I just
We
wanted to
were
say.
very respectful. Go
In
ahead.
the morning, 68 drivers come in, and they drive out in 68 buses. And then they come back in 68 buses, they get in their cars and go home in 68 cars. And then they come back in 68 cars, and then the buses go out again. And then when the buses come back, 68 more drivers go home. That's 7 times 68. Extra vehicles, and I think a bus really should count as 2 vehicles. That's it.
okay, okay. I want to thank,
That's a lot more
oh,
than
wait,
I-
whoa. You have anything? All right, come on.
I mean, clarify if I may be reading it wrong, I'm sorry. But in their proposal here, they reference Chapter 246, Table 5.2 of the code, Town of Oyster Bay. So that's for non-residence districts? Because this is in a commercial building, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Scott?
Yeah, it's an LI Light Industry District.
I'm sorry?
It's in the LI Light Industry District,
LI,
which is a
okay.
non-resident district.
So they'll be working, doing vehicle repairs, right? Bus repairs you'll be doing there?
Private repairs, not
pri-
a public garage.
Private, right.
Right.
So wouldn't that be a special permit?
That's only, I believe, for the
So,
public garage?
so I'll answer that, yes. If it's a public garage, anything that's ancillary or accessory to a permitted principal use is also a permitted use.
So
It's
there's
in
no
sec-
special
it's
permits
in-
to work on cars just because it's a company and they're not
Correct,
charging?
correct. It's in section 5.2, right before that table.
It is, yeah, section 5.2, I'm
Yeah.
just referring right here.
Yeah,
in
that's
this.
table 5.2,
Table
but
5.2.
section
Oh,
5.2 will explain exactly what I just said. If it's-
Okay.
If it's accessory to, it's permitted.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to thank everybody and to ask Scott Byrne to make a motion on this application.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close the public portion of the meeting, reserve decision pending the submission of the traffic study.
Okay, that's all we need, really?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second by Tony. Call the roll.
Okay, on the motion by Member Burns, seconded by Member Di Leonardo. Chairman Stanko?
Aye.
Member DiLeonardo?
Aye.
Member Tribina?
Aye.
Member Warner?
Aye.
Member Castellane?
Aye.
Member Byrne is aye. Chairman, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for your presentation and all for your comments. At that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
So moved.
Will there be an updated meeting when their studies are done? Are we gonna receive notice this